The greatest strategic failure in marketing is the transactional illusion, believing that you can close cold traffic in a single session while ignoring the neurological fact that the fastest sales happen after a prospect has been warmed through a sequence of micro touchpoints. For years, we've all been taught to hunt for that immediate conversion, that one-click close. But this obsession with speed, it has backfired. Big time. It's built a system that actually repels the very customers we want to attract. So today, we're going to dismantle that illusion. We're going to architect a new system, an engine designed not to close, but to cultivate. Let's dive in.
This quote just nails the central paradox of scaling in today's market, doesn't it? The harder you push for the sale, the faster you kill it. This whole aggressive approach, it just drives up your ad costs and literally pushes away your ideal audience. I mean, think about your own experience. When you see a buy now ad from a brand you've never even heard of, what's your gut reaction? It feels kind of like a stranger walking up to you on the street and asking for your credit card before they've even said hello. It's an immediate red flag. This approach isn't just inefficient, it's completely at odds with how human trust is built. And in a world that's just flooded with offers, trust is the only currency that really matters.
Okay, so let's put a name to this problem we're here to solve. The transactional illusion. It's this dangerous belief that a clever ad or some high-pressure offer can magically bypass the brain's natural defense system. Here's the thing. Cold traffic isn't a list of eager buyers. It's a group of people whose brains are on high alert, actively scanning for threats and looking for any reason to say no. So when you hit them with a high-stakes offer, you're basically tripping a wire in their brain's fear center, the amygdala. This isn't a conscious choice. It's a pure fight-or-flight reaction. They don't just ignore you, their brain actually tags your brand as a risk to be avoided from now on. We're here to replace this broken model with something that's actually built for the real world.
All right, to build this new system, here's our roadmap. First, we'll look at exactly why this old illusion is breaking down and costing so many businesses a fortune. Then we'll deconstruct the engine of trust, the core machine that replaces that broken model. After that, we'll get into the fascinating psychology of why this engine works so well. From there, we'll give you the value-first blueprint, the step-by-step guide to building your own. And finally, we'll lock in our new North Star, a totally new way to measure marketing success.
So let's start by diagnosing the crisis head-on. For years, the main playbook in digital marketing has been harvesting. Treating potential customers like a crop you have to gather as fast and cheap as possible. It's the whole direct response mindset of squeezing every last drop of ROI from every single click. But this aggressive, short-sighted way of thinking has created a massive backlash, turning what should be a healthy pipeline into a high-cost, low-yield rejection machine.
This slide really lays out the two paths we can take. On the left, you've got the old way, the rejection machine. It's constantly pushing for the close with aggressive calls to action. And as we just talked about, this just triggers the brain's threat detector, creating skepticism and basically training your audience to ignore you. The result? Sky-high acquisition costs and a brand people learn to avoid. Now, on the right, we have the incubation engine. It does the complete opposite. It patiently warms the audience first, building trust and familiarity over time, creating real brand affinity. The critical shift here is moving from harvesting leads to incubating relationships.
And, this wasn't just some philosophical shift. It was born from a very real, very painful crisis across the market. Before 2023, the digital world was obsessed with one-hit ads. The dream was finding that one perfect ad that could turn a total stranger into a customer, just like that. But then, around 2023, the market just hit a brick wall. Offer fatigue set in. Suddenly, everyone had a free trial, a download, a webinar. The noise was deafening, and customers just tuned it all out. Marketers watched in horror as their conversion rates cratered while their ad costs went through the roof. That was the breaking point. The industry was forced to evolve, and the focus had to shift from just getting traffic to something much more important: audience health.
And this brings us to the core idea that changes everything. What if we've been thinking about sales all wrong? What if a sale isn't a single event, like a finish line you have to shove someone across? What if, instead, it's a temperature, a state of readiness that a person reaches gradually, over time? You see, this simple shift in perspective changes the entire game. It means our job as marketers is no longer to force a conversion, but to create the perfect environment that allows a customer to heat themselves up toward a decision they're actually ready and even excited to make.
So, if a sale is a temperature, the next question is pretty obvious, right? How do we systematically turn up the heat? Well, the answer is you build an engine. This is where we stop talking about the problem and start building the solution. We're about to unpack the elegant, three-part system designed to incubate trust and make that sale feel like the most natural thing in the world. This is the engine of trust,
and it's powered by what we call the thermal sequencing loop.
The engine is built on 3 distinct sequential layers, and each one has a very specific job. First, you have the resonance layer, which makes that low-pressure first impression. Second, the authority layer, which is all about building deep credibility and proving you know your stuff. And third, and this is key, only after the first 2 are done, you have the conversion layer, which finally presents the offer. It's so important to get this. This is not a funnel you push people through. It's a sequence of value that they willingly pull themselves through, one step at a time.
The very first time a cold prospect ever interacts with your brand is right here, at the resonance layer. This is your low-friction entry point. And the goal is incredibly simple. Solve a small, specific problem for them for free with absolutely no strings attached. So, for example, if you sell project management software, this might be a quick video on a 5-minute meeting hack. It's a micro-win. By giving them this immediate value up front, you prove you're helpful right out of the gate. You're not asking for their email, you're not asking for their money, you're just being useful. This is the first crucial step in changing their view of your brand from an unknown seller to a trusted resource.
Okay, so once someone has engaged with that first piece of content, maybe they watched that video or read that blog post, your system sees that. It sees it as a heat signal, and that signal automatically guides them to the next stage, the authority layer. This is the education gate. Here, your job is to prove that you are the definitive expert who can solve their bigger problem. This is where you put your deep dive articles, your detailed case studies, your webinars, all that powerful social proof. You are systematically demonstrating your expertise and building that rock-solid credibility you need before they'll ever consider giving you their time or money. You're not just helpful anymore. Now, you're the authority.
And only now, after a prospect has resonated with your initial value and they've accepted your expertise, only then do they finally encounter the conversion layer. This is the final bridge, and it is so crucial to understand this. The high-friction offer, asking for a sales call or a purchase, it only shows up after that person has crossed a trust threshold. Because they've gotten real value at every step before this, the offer doesn't feel like a jarring sales pitch out of nowhere. It feels like the logical next step in a relationship that they helped build. The sale becomes the natural, desired outcome, not some forced objective.
So we've seen what the engine is and its 3 core layers. Now let's get into the really fascinating part, the deep psychology of why it's so darn effective. This isn't about marketing tricks or clever hacks. This system is engineered around fundamental, hardwired principles of how we, as humans, actually behave. We're about to uncover the secrets to creating the psychological conditions for a confident, enthusiastic yes.
The first principle at play is something called the mere exposure effect. Basically, we are all biologically wired to trust what's familiar and be skeptical of what's new and unknown. So the first time someone sees your brand, they're skeptical. But when they see your helpful content a second time and then a third, something powerful happens in their brain. Awareness turns into familiarity. And neurologically, familiarity translates directly into trust. By showing up again and again, not with a pitch, but with help, you create a halo of safety around your brand. You're effectively deactivating their brain's natural skepticism filter.
And this brings us to a huge psychological shift. In the old model, your brand is seen as an aggressor, an unknown company trying to take something, whether it's time, an email, or money. But in the audience warming model, you reposition yourself as a contributor. You show up first to give, to educate, to solve problems. This simple, profound change from aggressor to contributor completely reframes the entire dynamic. It builds a psychological moat around your brand that your competitors, with their aggressive buy now buttons, just can't cross.
This leads right into the second psychological driver, the principle of reciprocity. It's just human nature, right? Because you provided a valuable micro-win for free at the very beginning, their brain subconsciously feels a tiny bit indebted to you. We're all wired to want to reciprocate value. So when your offer finally arrives, it isn't seen as a demand. It's seen as the natural next step, a fair and logical chance to continue a valuable exchange that they've already benefited from.
All right, we understand the what and the why. Let's get practical. How do you actually build this thing? We are moving from theory to application with the Value First Blueprint. This is the tactical framework for actually architecting your content, engineering the journey, and automating the whole system so it works seamlessly in the background. So pay close attention here, because this is where the rubber meets the road. The blueprint has 4 key steps. First, you architect for value first friction. That means you intentionally give away some of your best stuff for free right at the start. Second, you engineer the thermal bridge, making sure every piece of content naturally leads to the next layer. Third, you automate the heat logic, using your ad platform's data to serve the right content to the right person at the right time. And finally, you totally change how you measure success. You start tracking brand search velocity, the increase in people searching for your brand by name, as the ultimate proof that your engine is working.
To really make this work, you have to adopt a profound mindset shift. This right here is the anchor for the entire strategy. You have to stop thinking like a hunter, constantly chasing the next lead in a desperate short-term pursuit. Instead, you must become a gardener of trust. Your new job is to cultivate the soil of your market, plant seeds of genuine value, and patiently nurture your audience. When you do this right, the harvest, the sale, becomes the natural result of a healthy garden, not the prize of a frantic hunt.
And this brings us to our final and maybe most important section. If you're going to use a new system, you need a new way to keep score. If we're not obsessing over cost per click and immediate conversions anymore, then what's the metric that truly matters? In this new world, what is our North Star? The new North Star is heating velocity. This is the core metric that defines the health of your entire system. It measures the speed at which your audience moves from that cold resonance layer through the warmer authority layer and toward the hot trust threshold. A high heating velocity tells you that your content is hitting the mark and you're efficiently building trust at scale. This, not some vanity metric like cost per click, is the true leading indicator of a healthy, predictable, and scalable pipeline. So what does success actually feel like when you use this model? I love this quote because it captures it perfectly. Mastery is when your sales calls no longer feel like a high-pressure pitch to a skeptic. Instead, they feel like a graduation ceremony. You're just welcoming a well-informed, enthusiastic advocate who's already sold on your value. They're just there to finalize the details. They aren't being closed, they're graduating to the next level of their relationship with you.
Ultimately, this whole philosophy can be boiled down to this one powerful idea. The old model was all about pushing ads, pushing offers, pushing people through a funnel they never even asked to be in. The audience warming engine is about pulling. By creating a core of incredible value, your best ideas, your most helpful insights, you create a gravitational pull. You attract the right people, letting them engage at their own pace, making them ready and even eager for the next step.
And so we'll end with this final thought. This idea that growth should be easy and predictable, just a straight line up and to the right, it's a myth. True, sustainable growth isn't a straight line you force. It's a path you earn. It's a learned discipline. It comes from deeply understanding your audience, building systems that respect their journey, and having the patience to incubate trust long before you ever ask for the sale. Master this, and you don't just build a sales process, you build an engine for inevitable growth. So the only question left is, are you building a rejection machine or an engine of trust?